In this video, we're talking about the 5 cards coming in the Cyberstorm Access format, with the new cards releasing and a new potential format and ban list approaching. We're going to see decks like Purrely potentially taking the top prize, and other decks like maybe Sprite and Manadome starting to adapt. But of course, Kashtira, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to Branded? And what the future meta might look like? Let's get into it. Coming up first, I want to talk about the Superheavy Samurai engine. If you've been living under a rock, you might have not known that the Superheavy Samurai deck is not a meme anymore. It's actually one of the strongest decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! The 1-card Pendulum Scale engine, the 1-card Synchro engine is absolutely insane, and a deck that does not let you run spells on traps is somehow the best deck. It's quite hard to believe, but it's actually true, and we've seen that in the OCG with crazy success despite Tellarknight still being one of the best decks in the game. Because of that reason, I've got to mention it in this video. If you're planning to play pendulums in any way, if you like this channel, you've probably seen my Superheavy Samurai deck profile or combo video. Definitely need to pick up the Superheavy Samurai cards coming out, and apparently the hand loop is back where you can now remove cards from the opponent's hand thanks to Omega and Bystials Dispower. Also, some other applications include an FTK, and I'm glad that the archetype is now receiving love, because I think a lot of people are going to jump onto this bandwagon. Superheavy Samurai is going to be one of the best archetypes coming into the next format. Another crazy one I really want to talk about is Bystials. We've seen the impact of Bystials in the Tellarknight format, but since Tellarknight has died, as a chain reaction, Bystials has also lost its popularity, and the max ratio we're seeing in even branded decks is like 2 to 3. Because Bystials are insane by themselves as an individual card, it's quite interesting to see how they've taken a fall. But in the next meta, when Battles of Legend releases and Cyberstorm Access releases, I think some crazy things are going to happen, because we're also getting the Assault Synchron coming out and the Apple Dragon, which is going to change the game. And if you've seen my Manadome guide, definitely go check that out. There's a Bystial version of Manadome, which I think is going to be really powerful, and you can use those level 6 monsters like the Bystials and the level 2 tuners to climb your way into the Baron de Fleur, and I think that's going to be one of the best decks going to the next format. So as a precaution, if you don't have your Bystials, this might be a good time to get them, although the best one, Bowdrake, is a common in 4 type and over. We've even seen the Bystial cards, I believe all of them are limited to 1 now. It's crazy how the OCG is so different from the TCG. And segueing nicely into our next topic is Branded. We're getting Despian, Luluwalith and Bystials Dispower coming out in the next pack. So now the Branded Fusion archetype is now transforming into a Synchro archetype, and we can see that with Branded 2, the card that lets you synchro on your opponent's turn, also becoming a dimension shift of sorts for the opponent. It's such an unfair card, and I can see so many things going right for the Branded strategy. And of course, Branded Quem, the level 4 spellcaster that you're going to need to summon those monsters. I can see it being hit on the ban list. When it kind of makes a structure deck, it entices new players to play the game. So I don't think the deck is going to be hit too bad. After we see the deck evolve, I can see some major hits coming like to the Branded Fusion, but because of the way the deck works now, because of Bystial Saronir, Branded Retribution, the deck is able to find the one Branded Fusion, and I think this leaves a lot of room for deck building, and I do see cards like Chaos Angel being a mainstay in the Branded deck. I understand that the Branded storyline is now finishing and we're getting an amazing card to wrap it up, but damn, this card is actually crazy. Blazing Branded King, able to negate the whole field, and then it can recursion itself, so it comes back to your hand. It can play through Dark Rule no more. You can play through anything in the game now, and I'm excited to see just how high the ceiling will be for the Branded deck. I want to talk about Purrely as the next scary archetype coming out in the next format. I think this deck doesn't have a lot going for it right now, but when the ban list happens, when Kashtira might get touched, I think we can see this deck rising to the top. However, what's interesting is the TCG has already adapted to the solo boss monster boards. What's funny is the Purrely Noir and the Purrely strategy is known for being the Kashtira matchup, and for that reason, I'm excited to see how this card turns into a powerhouse in the next meta. Remember, in Cyberstorm Access, they get new support with Purrely Lily now able to make even more Exceed monsters by using a quick play spell from the graveyard, and that's why we're probably seeing so much success with it in the OCG. Purrely having a second level 1 star card is amazing for the archetype. It's going to boost the consistency, and it's going to take that deck from 0 to hero. The last topic is Manadome. If you see my Manadome guide, you know how enthusiastic I am about the archetype. I love that we're getting a Synchro climb deck that plays kind of similar to Sprite, and Sprite is actually one of the versions of the deck you can play that's really successful in the OCG, and I'm curious how much of an impact Cyberstorm Access is going to give us. Will we see the return, the comeback of the base archetype? I'd love to see that, because of course you have Adventure at full power in the TCG, so that means we have the token generation. I'd love to see a base deck come back to life with 60 cards with a bunch of hand traps. I think that'll be hilarious. I think that probably will happen, and I can see a card like Lisa Starfrost and the level 4 adventure token making Chaos Angel quite often in the next meta. So if you're a aspiring base player, if you like the deck, if you like the Synchro archetype making something from nothing, you might want to pick up your Scareclaw cards cards and the adventure engine, and because of a card like Cross Sheep and the Vicious Shroud, there's even more synergy coming, and I think this is going to make for a crazy Synchro tank deck. There are some honorable mentions coming in the Cyberstorm Access pack, which I think are going to change the way these decks are played, these archetypes are played. Funny enough, I don't see Kashtira getting good support from this pack, and I wonder if this is what the meta needed, so that every deck can now overthrow the Kashtira deck. Some cards that come to mind are the Tellarknight support, which was one of the craziest news we've gotten. Tellarknight is crazy, guys. Don't underestimate this archetype just because it has a few new cards. I can see this deck doing decently well when there's a 1-card combo that makes 7+ interruptions. The deck now able to play a few hand traps is another reason why I can see Tellarknight becoming a solid rogue deck, a top contender for the next format. Trap Track, which is a really funny worded card, comes out in Cyberstorm Access, which is great support for the trap-based archetype. Dinomorphia has Dinomorphia intact as well, saving the deck forever from dying in the battle phase, which I think solves the majority of the problems in Dinomorphia. And as a Dinomorphia player, I cannot wait for that card to release. We also had Supreme King come out in the Maze of Memories pack, so now Dinomorphia is at full power, and I'm so excited to see what this deck brings, because it's time for Rex to take back control. Gold Pride, another TCG exclusive archetype we've got that is actually quite successful for its first wave of support. A lot of meta players are anticipating this deck to be really strong. You have the Punk archetype as well at full power, and with the Gold Pride support being decent in the first wave, it can only get better from here, and I'm so excited to see what they bring. If you're an avid fan of the Punk archetype and how they play, Gold Pride has a very similar style, so you may want to pick up your Gold Pride cards sooner than later. And that's been the video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to drop a like. Are you looking forward to Cyberstorm Access? What cards are you picking up at the moment? If you've noticed, the Superheavy Samurai cards are starting to disappear off the market. The archetype is clearly one of the most insane power creep spikes we've got for a legacy archetype, and I too cannot wait for these Superheavy Samurai cards to boost my Draco Slayer deck. And that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.